Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Jim K. Ford Sens Nation podcast. I launched this a minute ago, and then thankfully 5 seconds in, I didn't hit record. So off we go. We're off and running, and lots of positivity again here on this show as the Sens come away with a 4-1 win over New Jersey. They played great for their third win in a row, and Linus Ullmark, what a great comeback for him. Plays his first game in over a month after he goes away on a personal leave of absence, comes back, finally plays, and he was outstanding on Saturday night in the 4-1 win over the Devils. The one thing that I feel really good about is the positivity from the fan base. You know, there's been complaints about goaltending all season long, and this is a fan base that deals with the so-called goalie graveyard reputation, and you know, there's a little bit of them that, you know, you couldn't blame them for being jaded about goaltending, but they totally set that aside for Linus Ullmark's return. He comes in, I think he made, 26 saves, I want to say, on the night. But he made a couple of big saves, including one on Nico Hischier in the dying moments. I just love the way the fans reacted. They cheered everything, like anything Linus Ullmark did. Even run-of-the-mill saves. He had some beauties in there, too. But even the run-of-the-mill stuff, the fans had that guy's back, and that was kind of a heartwarming night, I thought.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Sellout crowd, too, on a Saturday night. The signs, like right from the minute he stepped on the ice, I'm sure he felt the love in the air and in the building the Saturday night. It's wonderful. And of course, then he gets off to a great start. Like you mentioned, great saves late. First 10 minutes was kind of iffy there. A lot of New Jersey chances in the first 10 minutes, and Linus Ullmark was really good to start the game. You combine that with Sanderson, Stutzle, and Kachuk leading the way, and you got a goaltender. If those four guys can be the leaders and be the players that they were Saturday night for the rest of the way, then who knows? Maybe there is a shot for a playoffs position here.
Yeah. Best players have to be your best players, as they say. I know what the intent behind that cliche is, but in reality, if your fourth line guy gets 7 goals in the game and you win, well, they obviously didn't have to be your best players. But in general, I understand the sentiment, and that was certainly in play, like you say, with those 4 players. Your goaltender was great, but the big three, the 3 Musketeers, the 3 Amigos, the 3 Caballeros, any other threesome you want to talk about? Oh, that could take us into a difficult place. It's a family show. Sorry, go ahead.
I said Stooges.
Stooges? No. God, no.
Well, you said any other threesome you could come up with.
Well, I meant it in a positive light, though.
Yes, yeah, I know.
Stooges,
but they were great. They were awesome. The big 3, that was the whole game. The big 3 and the goaltender. Like I said, those 4 are going every night, man. Like, look out. And the rest of the team playing the way they played these last 3 games. We talk about it all the time. Are we finally turning a corner, or is there another corner up ahead? Who knows? We'll find out this week, I guess. But, man, they've looked good for 3 games in a row.
I'm not going to lie. And I'm not here to rain on parades or throw negativity onto things. But there is a little part of me, no question, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but there is a little part of me that has noticed a trend with a lot of this core where once the whole thing becomes a very, not lost cause, but getting close to it, that's when they tend to play their best. Like, that's happened like 2 or 3 times in this organization's recent history. So I'm hoping that's not the case here. For now, I want to embrace what's happening because there's been a lot of dark clouds over this team. And between the Ullmark thing and between the team playing so well, including a couple of wins over really great opponents that we addressed in recent episodes, like there's just so many good things happening for the team right now. I want to just take that nagging thought in my head and just shove it away, but I can't do it completely.
Well, the other nagging thought that I thought you were going to bring up is that you often make the point that when things start going their way and they're having success, that's when they tend to get off map, off course, and go on safari. And it looks like everything's going well, even within a game. And then all of a sudden they turn into a totally different team. Or over the course of streaks where they win a couple games in a row, and then suddenly they start acting like, oh, hey, we're the big shots in this league now. I think that the lesson remains, You earn the right to be overconfident. And just because you won 3 games in a row doesn't allow you to be cocky or overconfident no matter who you're playing. It's a show me league. It's a wins generated league. You've got to keep playing every night. And hopefully that lesson is firmly entrenched for the coaching staff that this needs to keep going, keep doing what you're doing.
There were still glitchy moments, along that line when the Sens are up 2-1. It was, they were controlling the game, but man, they gave up some chances along the way as well. So I think the difference for me anyway is, and obviously Travis Green has talked about this through most of the season. It's about the process, play like that. We're going to get results. But even in the New Jersey game, there were some moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, you need to be on top of the puck. You can't be, be getting caught deep and odd man rushes coming out the other way. What's happening right now is that they're not being penalized every time those little moments happen. It seems like for most of this year, if they cheat, they get penalized by the other team with the puck ending up in their net. And Linus Ullmark's a big part of that in that game. And I guess the Devils account for that as well. I mean, Nico Hischier, again, it's 2-1 late, and he's got a 2-on-1 situation breaking down the right wing, and Ullmark makes an unbelievable glove save, and Hischier's hanging his head on the bench. Now, he might have been throwing up for all I know because he was sick going into the game, but no, he wasn't. But I just feel like right now there's some good fortune going on with the team as well, where not everything that they do wrong ends up in a calamitous situation and a goal against.
And if they need any more motivation, all they have to do is look at the standings. Like, okay, you've won 3 in a row, but you know what? You're still not in a playoff spot. You're still way back of third. You're still a good chunk of change back of the second wild card. Like, you just got to keep going, pedal to the metal, keep doing what you're doing, keep it up, keep it up. They can't afford to take their foot off the gas. They just can't afford to have a bad period, let alone a bad game for the next little while. Another 3 games before the break, and then they can relax. But they got to be hard on it for the next 3.
Yeah. You look at all the also-rans in the Eastern Conference. I think the Sens are like only 2 points out of the lead of the also-rans, all the teams in the East that are out of the playoff mix right now. So they're right there, and now they're going to need, I think, one of the top 8 that are in playoff position right now to go on a bad run. Buffalo looking in your direction. So the Sabres can reliably be counted on to go for a long old skid. But Steve Lloyd brought this up, and it's an incredible stat. If you're wondering why the Sens never seem to be able to make up any ground, well, there's a reason for that, because the NHL Atlantic is going off. Since November, Lloydie notes, there are the top 6 teams. If you look at the points they've accumulated since November, the top 6 teams in the NHL, 5 of them are in the Atlantic. Right. Buffalo has 43 points. Detroit is 42. Then you've got Minnesota as the outlier at 39, the Habs at 38, Tampa Bay at 38, and Boston at 37. And, man, when you're in a division like that, that is not good for business. Again, the Sens are going to need one of those teams to start scuffling. And, again, you've got the Sabres and the Red Wings, who are on historic playoff droughts. I'm hoping that for the Sens' sake, they can be reliably counted on to go for a dump before long.
Yes, and we're going to hear some moaning and groaning at the end of the season if it turns out that third place in the Metropolitan gets a playoff spot and has less points than the third place wild card team in coming from the Atlantic, right? Like it's distinctly possible that somebody's going to miss the wild card but have more points than the third place team over in the Metropolitan, and that's sad.
Let's get into specifics about the big 3, because I think it's worth talking about. Like Brady Tkachuk, that's in the discussion for one of his best games of the year, because he was doing the bullish things, the bull in a china shop stuff, along with the fact that he had 3 points on the night, opened the scoring on the power play, and just getting physically involved. I mean, if there's anything going on still with that thumb, he doesn't care. Or it's 100% again. But I don't know, maybe he's ramping up for the Olympics. He's really starting to get the competitive juices going. I don't know. But whatever the reason, that's the Brady Tkachuk that this town knows and loves, and that was great to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's the Brady Tkachuk that this team has to have. Like maybe it's just that, he's far enough removed now from the thumb injury that he's, maybe he wasn't really 100% coming back off the thumb. That's probably likely. And that now he's rounding into form and coming back to being Brady. And he I mean, it wasn't really a drag the team into the fight kind of night, but it was a lead by the leader's lead kind of night, and that's what he did. The pass by Drake Batherson on the first goal is stunning. That guy makes some awesome passes from down low. It doesn't seem to matter which side of the ice he's on the power play. He could find Brady cross crease through a seam. That was a great pass, and Brady, I thought he took too much time and almost gave Allen enough time to get over and get set, but still managed to score. Nice power play goal to get the first on the night, and Brady just took off from there. He looked good all night.
Yeah, no doubt. And he was great after the game, too. He goes out. Eli Manning, the two-time Super Bowl champion, is there at the game with his 10-year-old daughter. Her hockey team was in town for a minor hockey tournament. And so as part of the fun, they scheduled a Sens Devils game. The Mannings they live in New Jersey, so it was a good fit. And Manning did some interviews. But after the game was over, you got Brady Tkachuk coming out to greet Eli Manning and the girls and spending all the time he wanted. Like this guy, I know I talked in a recent episode, Gregg, about the idea of, okay, this team's scuffling again, that exists as a possibility, the Herschel Walker trade, right? You give up a superstar and get many assets back for it, that maybe they have to look at that at some stage, especially if Kachuk decides that he isn't going to sign here in 2 summers from now. But the reality is, when you see the way he is off the ice and the way he can be on the ice, the way he was on Saturday night, like I'm hoping that Matthew Kachuk is completely right, like he said on the Wingman podcast, that Brady is an Ottawa lifer.
Yep, he's awesome. Like you can't fake that either. You can fake it once or twice, right? Like players have to do certain things. There's hospital visits or there's school visits. There's whatever they have to do. There's certain things, and once or twice you can go and fake it, and you probably don't do that many. But when you're the captain, you're expected to go to a lot more than just one or two, and all of these types of things. He's just so genuine, or at least he comes across as so genuine, and always shows up and always puts in the time, and probably puts in more time than most people would expect him to. I'm sure that Eli wasn't expecting to get as much of Brady's time as he got with his daughters. Like Brady's just he gets it, right, Steve? He gets it. He's the son of a former NHLer, and I think it was impressed upon him from a young age that you have to give back, that the fans are the customers, they're your boss, they pay your salary, you need to treat them right, and he almost always says the right thing and does the right things. He really is a great ambassador for the team within the community and for the community to outsiders. It's nice to see.
Yeah, and whoever was doing Sportsnet's rink side, I think it was Cosentino, he was saying early on in the game he was blown away by how animated Kachuk was on the bench, cheering the guys on, kind of banging the bench door, banging his stick, and really, getting the guys going. And like you said, this wasn't in the third period or anything. This is right out of the gate. And he is the emotional leader. There's no question about that. This just in. But I also want to talk about the other 2 guys, Tim Stutzle and Jake Sanderson. I'll quickly touch on Stutzle from the perspective of that guy is due for like a 5-point game plus, a 5-point plus game. Holy cow, does he generate chances that just don't go in for him? It was funny, the one that kind of cinches the game late to make it 3-1. Of all the chances he had on the night to score, that's the one that went in. He's due, man. He is due for a huge night.
He's exciting night in, night out. He just keeps getting better and better. The speed, the awareness, the one shift he had through the neutral zone with a couple of nice little dangles was pretty impressive too. That was in the second period. But just, you're right. Creating opportunities, not just for himself, but for others. And should have had 3 or 4. And the one that went in, basically, I think Allen put it in himself with his own stick. But he was due, and it was like, okay, and you could see the body language, like this guy's not hard to read, is he? You body language experts out there wouldn't have a tough time with Tim Stutzle if you ever got him in the box down at the cop shop interrogation. You can read his body language from miles away. He was just like, oh, thank God, like holy smokes, how long did it take for this to happen? It was due, long overdue as the night went on.
I was
And as
honestly,
we go
I
ahead,
was going to
sorry.
say one last thing. I was going to say though, you mentioned Jake Allen getting beaten on that play. Like, I was really glad to see it. You know, it was a big goal, obviously, but Allen had earlier in the game when Stutzle had a breakaway that he failed to capitalize on. Allen kind of just eyeballed him all the way along. Like as Stutzle skated past the net after failing, Allen's eyeballs go with him like that. Like, yeah, don't keep that garbage out of here, that sort of thing. It's like, easy, Jake Allen. You're Jake Allen. Anyways, nice that he finished that one and got a little revenge on that. But Jake Sanderson, go ahead.
Well, Jake Sanderson, I thought the one play, and it's like he got caught up ice. Okay, he got caught up ice and just flew back. And I'm going, okay, I want to know how fast he was going. Please, please, Hockey Night Canada, put that thing up with the speeds that I usually never pay any attention to. And they did in the replay. And it was like 36 miles an hour. He raced back past two guys and stick lift and chance nullified. Like boop. Forget about it. You're not getting a shot on my goalie. Like that was stellar. That's that's Jake Sanderson in a nutshell right there. What speed? What? Oh man! Now he probably was in guilt gear, right? You got first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and then you got that guilt gear. I got caught up ice. I'm in a hurry to get back, but man, what an impressive skater he is.
Yeah, I kind of looked at that one more like you had a two-man race between Nick Jensen, whoever the Devil player was. The Devil player was threatening to break away and get a breakaway. And I don't know if I regarded it as Sanderson being caught up ice, but just helping Jensen out. Anyway, whatever. To me, it looked like the two guys were going after the puck, and all of a sudden, Sanderson, who wasn't even I wasn't at the game, I was watching on TV. Sanderson
Yeah.
wasn't even in the TV screen, and all of a sudden, there he is, and he steals the puck away. But he made a number of big defensive plays and did it with such casual ease. Just fantastic to see. And that speed, we all regard Tim Stutzle as a burner. And I think it was probably 3-4 years ago now. There's a great video where the two of them are just sitting on the bench, and Stutzle's like talking to Jake Sanderson, and Stutzle says, buddy, you're the fastest skater I've ever seen. Like, for Stutzle to be saying that to Sanderson at the time was like, wow, that's high
Yeah.
praise. But we're certainly seeing it now. And I'd really love to see at some point when we get back to an all-star game what Jake Sanderson can do in the NHL's fastest skater competition, because he's in the discussion. I fully believe that.
Yeah, we might actually have to watch the All-Star festivities that year.
The skills, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no need to watch the games, I don't think.
Okay.
So the big three were fantastic. So let's get into a former Ottawa Senator, Connor Brown. The game is 2-1. Connor Brown appears to tie the game, cramming in a loose puck. And I was shocked that they said, okay, that's a good goal. They eventually reviewed it and decided, okay, he didn't reestablish. He didn't put the puck in with his own stick. He grabbed the puck. It looked like about, I don't know, maybe 7 feet from the net. Grabbed it like this for you, those of you on YouTube. Grabbed it like that. Then he cradled it and carried it for a stride and a half, threw it to the goal line behind Linus Ullmark, and then tried to swat it in. But because the puck hit Ullmark's stick and went in, it was ruled a hand pass, scoring a goal. So they were able to disallow it that way. But if Connor Brown had gotten that puck first and swatted it in with his stick blade, it probably would have counted, and it's not a reviewable play.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Who would have known? Like you'd almost think, is there any way that someone can score a goal that isn't reviewable? Well, now we know that there is. You can't. You can close your hand on the puck, throw it towards the net, and as long as you get your stick on it, whack it in, it's a goal. If they didn't see you close your hand on the puck, like I go back to the Ridley Gregg one from, was it 2 games ago, where he would grab the puck, closed his hand on the puck, and threw it in the corner or something, and they
Threw it in
called
the
him for
stands.
that. Yeah, okay. Well, Connor Brown had the puck in his palm closed longer than Ridley Gregg did on that play. Like it was awful, like awful. It was so obvious too. Grab it, throw it down on the ice, and swing at it and miss. Thank God it hit Allmark's stick and went in. And thank God the refs had that out. the out being, well, it deflected off the player's goalie stick and went in, so therefore it's a hand pass, yada yada, no goal. Because as you say, they were not allowed to say it was no goal because he closed his hand on the puck,
Yeah.
non-reviewable.
It needs to be called all over the ice because what Connor Brown did there is quite commonplace. It just rarely happens around the opposing net to the player's advantage. Anybody who closes their hand on a puck and they're called for it, the Ridley Gregg incident aside, it's usually around the defending part of it. You know, you grab it in the crease or something like that, close his hand on the puck, or that'll be a penalty shot or an automatic goal, one or the other. But they need to call it all over the ice, really, because you see it in the neutral zone. A guy catches the puck up high, and then he'll like hold it for a second, shimmy past the forechecker, and get advantage out of that. That should almost always be called. And in the cases like that one, I think it needs to be a reviewable play too, because that can't happen. That would have been absurd, and it would have been a big goal, but did not happen. And it sucks to be you, Connor Brown, a player I liked back in the day. I always said, you know, that's the sort of player you like to have in your bottom six. He's reliable. He can move up and down the lineup, and you know, I think they have the same kind of thing in a Nick Cousins, for example, right now.
For sure. Nick Cousins, Ridley Gregg to a certain extent.
Yep.
Even Michael Amadio, who's the same type of player, right? Like the Sens have that type of player, and they don't have to pay him the kind of money that Connor Brown's making. Or actually, Connor Brown's not making the money anymore, but he certainly was. The Washington Capitals gave him a hell of a free agent deal that Edmonton ended up finishing off, and then he signed as a free agent in Jersey. So he's not making quite the same coin. But at the time, the Senators couldn't afford to give him what he was looking for, and other people have filled that void since then.
8 of the next 9 games on the road. You got the Olympic break kind of as the halftime show of that run. So we'll talk about that in a moment. We'll also talk about Thomas Chabot's injury. That is coming up after these here words from our great sponsors, the folks at Jim Keay Ford, Midas Ottawa, and Celebrate Your Permanent Holiday Lighting.
Ready for the big game? Your home should be too. With Celebrate Lights, you can show your team spirit and light up every victory. Sync your lights to your team's colors and let the whole neighborhood know when they score. Match your team's colors, celebrate every win, and take the excitement to the next level. Celebrate permanent holiday lighting, the easiest way to set the stage for unforgettable moments.
Are you ready to take your Ford ownership to the next level? Introducing Ford Pass at Jim Keay Ford, your passport to a world of convenience and control. Start your vehicle remotely, lock or unlock it from your smartphone, receive instant alerts about your vehicle's health, and schedule service appointments. Don't miss out on the Ford Pass revolution at Jim Keay Ford, 1438 Uville Drive in Orleans, or online at jimkford.com.
At Jim Keay Ford Lincoln, we say yes!
You know, Steve, if you ever get tired of waiting in line for an oil change, you can go to Midas, make an appointment. You don't have to wait in line. You just show up whatever time you want it. They'll set up an appointment for you. Walk in, get your car done in 20 minutes, wait there for it. Maybe takes 40 minutes, but they're going to give it a good going over while it's in the shop. Check out the 5 Midas locations, midas.ca.
Welcome back to the program. 8 of 9 on the road, Greg. That will probably settle the hash one way or the other. Either fully eliminate the Sens from the mix or declare to all that they are, in fact, for real and actually have a shot of reeling in the best of the East.
Well, you're absolutely right. Like that, yeah. That their whole season is right now. The weird thing, Saturday morning, if you looked at the schedule, the Sens' next 3 games were all in 3 different months. As of Saturday morning, their next home game was Saturday night in January. Their next one after that was in February, and their next one after that is in March. So they're not playing at home again until sometime in March right now. 8 of 9 on the road with a big break in the middle for the Olympics. If you don't go, I'm going to say if you don't go 7 of 9, you're probably done.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of the Olympics and all the positives that happened on Saturday night, that was a nice moment. There's so many great moments going on for this team right now where before the game happened, they got all the Olympians on the Sens to line up at the blue line, introduced them, had little kids out there in their hockey gear with the flag from their nation. unfortunately, and everybody knows who they are, I would expect by now, Nicholas Matinpalo will be representing Finland, and he was, so the little guy that had the Finnish flag was sitting there all by himself because Matinpalo's been, generally speaking, a healthy scratch for most of the last month here. But it looks like he's going to have to be called into action, potentially, depending on Thomas Chabot's status. Chabot suffered an injury to his hand. It looked to me like Dom Nicoletta was he's definitely working on his right hand, and he was kind of working it very gently, suggesting that maybe something was going on with that wrist. And you'll recall that this, for a couple of years now, prior to, well, not now, but May of 2024, he had right wrist surgery after dealing with all kinds of pain and injuries to the wrist for a couple of years. So you'd hate to think that something has reoccurred here, but it looked like a very simple play. It was Maxim Siplikov going over the blue line, and it just looked like Chabot for a moment got his right hand jammed, and he really looked uncomfortable on the bench. That would be a big blow because we've seen what this team looks like. You know, you've got a guy ascending in the lineup defensively who's a bottom six guy suddenly playing above his head in the top four, or, you know, a guy playing on his offside. Wouldn't be ideal, so fingers crossed if you're a Sens fan that was just something that was precautionary on Saturday night.
Yeah, let's hope so, right? It seemed to be, it was more, to me, it was more on the cross check. As he sort of cross checked Siplikov, he let go of his stick and started to look to his hand then. And what a terrible penalty call. Siplikov's foot backed into Chabot's foot and he went down, and they called Chabot for tripping on that play. Terrible call. But let's hope it's not a serious injury or lengthy issue. The one thing about defense here, we've said it all year, they need another one. They need at least one more. I don't know where they're going to get him, but they still need to find one more. And now it's a lefty, so who are you going to call up? There's been talk lately of Kachuk maybe being due for a call-up, but I don't know. You put Matinpalo in. I guess you move Spence up, but then you don't have a guy to play the left side. So, there's all kinds of decisions to be made here. Who affects what, and how it gets affected, and what pair, and matchups. And it's going to be interesting to see how Travis Green uses his pieces on Tuesday night.
Yeah, you mentioned Kachuk there. Let's talk about that for a moment because Jack Richardson at the Hockey News, my colleague over there, and also does the post-game show at Locked On Senators, he wrote a little bit about that with the theory that, and you could put your coach's hat on for this, that maybe he would be better served at this stage, given that Belleville's not a particularly great defensive team, that maybe with one of the better defensive units going right now. At least they, you know, there've been games where they didn't look very solid defensively, but if you look at the NHL fancy stats defensively, the Sens are doing pretty well. And so the theory is that maybe Kachuk developmentally would do better learning at the NHL level than down in the AHL. What do you think of that theory?
Well, it's a long-standing theory, right? It's a long-standing, almost accepted as fact that the game in the NHL, although faster, but with better skilled players, it's almost simpler from a system standpoint. People are where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. So in that sense, it can be easier. Playing defense is a whole other thing. Playing defense without the puck is a whole other thing. Play defense with the puck, yeah, I can see it being easier. I want to make a pass over there. There's probably a guy there, and he's not going to bobble it, and he's not going to turn his back when I pass it to him. But without the puck can be a totally different game. And now you're playing the NHL with faster players, smarter players, bigger, stronger players, all that. Playing defensively may be a problem. But I've said all along that I thought he'd be up sometime in the second half, and if this is the week for it, why not? Why not bring him up now? Let's get him into a couple of games, and if he does all right, then I don't have a problem with leaving him here the rest of the year. What's it matter? If he's here, he'll learn more. He'll learn playing in the NHL with guys in the NHL. He's done his time in the American Hockey League. He's suffered for it, really, because they're not good, as you alluded to, and his stats are hurting. So maybe it is better for him if he's sheltered properly and insulated properly. It could be the right place for him to be for the rest of the season.
Yep, could be. It's a double-edged sword, of course, though, because you think about the kid's confidence, and if things don't go well, there's a lot more eyeballs and there's a lot more meaning behind it. He's probably made a ton of mistakes down in the American Hockey League that most Ottawa hockey fans will never know. But in the NHL, everybody will know, and it will be on the highlights the next day, and it will be on YouTube forever. So there's that part of it. So I understand everything you just said there, but there's also the worry about that secondary angle.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I mean, if it's, for sure, I want to see it. If the Sens happen to fall out of the race, then it's not, now it's development and people get it. But people still have hope right now, and so it means a lot, and that will put all the extra pressure. And if things go sideways, that could affect the kids' confidence. So, yeah, the development game, it's a tricky bit of business, evaluating where a player's physical game is at, how he processes things, but also how any kind of adversity might affect him. So, interesting conversation. Let us know what you think. If you have any commentary about that or anything else we talked about here on the show, please send it along. We love to hear your feedback. Sens Nation Hockey, that's the website. SensNationHockey.com is the website. The email address is sensnationpodcast@outlook.com. I could have made that easier, I suppose.
Yeah.
Here we are. Thanks to our great sponsors, Jim K. Ford, our title sponsor, as well as Celebrate and Midas Ottawa. Thanks to everybody on CJRO Radio for listening in. And as I mentioned, our website for everything, including links to the YouTube channel if you're interested in seeing that. If you're strictly an audio listener, you want to check out YouTube, well, every link you need is at SensNationHockey.com. Check out the hockey news as well. THN.com/Ottawa, all Sens all the time. And that will do it for this week's show. Gregg, did you see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Tampa Bay Lightning?
I was just going to say the Pats and the Bucks. I love the entrances. It's Sunday night, folks. I'm going to go watch the game now, the outdoor game in Tampa. That ought to be interesting to watch. But I thought it was pretty cool watching the Patriots get off the bus. Those are pretty cool unis, outfits, costumes, whatever you want to call them. And then, of course, the dreamsicle popsicles that the Tampa Bay Lightning showed up. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love those orange and white uniforms for sure. They were led out off the bus by Baker Mayfield, the Buccaneers quarterback, and then all the Lightning players had the orange and whites on, even the helmets and everything. But it was Boston, the Bruins, coming out in the Patriots costumes. I'm not sure they were necessarily all that into that look per se. Some guys bought in all the way, probably their media guys or something. They had those white curly Quaker Oats wigs. But none of the players bought into that, though. Some of them didn't even wear the hat. They were just kind of coming off wearing their buckled shoes and their high white socks, and they looked very much like the New England Patriots helmets. So it was an intriguing entry, and we'll see how that game goes, because it's a big one for the Sens, obviously. I guess you're cheering for Tampa, I suppose, although they're not that far ahead of Boston. But the Bruins are the team to catch, along with the Sabres, because they hold the wild card spots, and they are both right now, as we record this, 8 points ahead of the Sens. So we'll call it quits right there, take our leave, and thanks so much for being with us, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, Gregg.
Thanks, buddy. See you.